Have you ever ended up in this kind of a situation? You're in the middle of nowhere, enemies are coming from multiple different directions, your anxiety is rising, you don't know what to do, where to place your crosshair, which enemies to fight, which rules to follow. Well, the crosshair placement nightmare is over. Your radiant coach is here to help you. What's up, tricksters? My name is Charlatan, your favorite all-time Radiant player in Valorant, esports pro player, private coach, and there are many other talents and titles of this specimen, but some of them are illegal to mention. Today we're gonna be covering some really important pro tips regarding your crosshair placement, game decisions, and specific situations that you're gonna be facing in Valorant. First thing that is important for today's topic is understanding the gambling, but not Phantom Lord or train wrecks type of gambling, but smart gambling in FPS video games. Every single round that you play, every single match that you win or lose is determined by a bit of luck and your overall game decisions. How well do you read utility usage, positioning and timings of your enemies and allies in the same time? You are only one player in your team against 5 random players in solo queue, and you cannot possibly expect from yourself to cover every single angle, kill every single enemy, and position every single ability of your team. We are not playing General's Command and Conquer. That is why smart gambling, positioning of our character, and crosshair placement is extremely important for us. Why is crosshair placement so important in Valorant? Well, with proper crosshair placement, you're eliminating a lot of unnecessary movement when it comes to your aim. If you have a godlike crosshair placement and positioning, the amount of aim movement that you have to do in order to kill your enemies is minimal. Even if your raw mechanical skill is absolutely shito, but other mechanical aspects of your gameplay are polished, you're still able to have extremely high chances of killing your enemies without relying on your reflexes, flicks, tracking and other aiming variables. Your crosshair should always have some kind of a task. It should always be placed at the angles from which there are the highest chances for engagement with our enemies. It should never be
in the ground, in the skies, in the rivers of our lives.
That's why having a certain rules that you're implementing in your gameplay is important to elevate your chances of killing enemies, winning more rounds and to win more matches. In my future videos, I'll be making a full in-depth crosshair placement guide, but today we're just going to cover 3 different scenarios in which you're usually going to end up, and one extremely important rule that is gonna help you in these type of situations. This rule is called the 50-50 mechanical crosshair placement rule. But before we go over those scenarios, I highly recommend you to hit that subscribe button, turn your notifications on so you don't miss any other epic content in future, leave a like and comment to help us grow our Tricksters community, follow me on twitch.tv/charlatan if you want to catch me live, make sure to visit my official website or Discord server if you want to get private coaching in Valorant by one and only Charlatano, and other social media links are down in the description below. Let's go, baby! So, your team has pushed the B site. Spike is planted. You end up in this post-plant position. Enemies can push you from multiple different directions and the anxiety is rising. What am I gonna do? First, I'm gonna tell you what are the worst 2 things that you can do in this type of scenario. Numero uno, bad thing that I see players do in my coaching sessions is that they will place their crosshair in the middle of all of these angles from which enemies can come, for the sake of seeing every single enemy and not being backstabbed. In theory, this sounds great, but in practice, it is extremely bad. What you're doing then, you're just gambling your crosshair placement for 100%, and you're completely relying on multiple multiple different gameplay mechanical aspects to kill those enemies. First, you're relying on your reaction time and precision of your flicks. Then you're relying on enemies' bad crosshair placement, because if they have perfect crosshair placement for you and equal or higher reaction time, you're probably going to die most of the times. You're also relying on Valorant. There is the first bullet inaccuracy, desync, latency, ping difference, and God knows what else is wrong in the code of this game. Essentially, you sacrificed higher chances of killing enemies on all of these positions for the sake of your visuals, which is extremely bad. Numero dos bad thing that I see players do is they will be switching their crosshair between all of these positions randomly like this. And basically there is no difference between example number 1 and number 2. Once again, you're sacrificing your crosshair placement and chances of killing the enemies. Example number 2 is maybe even worse, because if enemies peek you from garage in the middle of your flick towards CT, your chances to be precise and kill the enemies in garage are gonna be significantly lower than in example number 1, because it's extremely unnecessary and hard movement to do when you're placing your crosshair on one position, and in the middle of that movement you need to immediately reposition your crosshair to another angle that is the complete opposite. So what the hell am I supposed to do, charlatan? Whenever you end up in these type of situations, we need to gamble smart. Remember that our crosshair should always have some kind of a task, and we can implement 50-50 mechanical crosshair placement rule. So, based on how the enemies played previous rounds, based on your game sense, your minimap awareness, your in-game sound, your feeling for the timings, your allies' positioning, and what they are covering, you always want to have absolutely perfect crosshair placement for the enemies on at least one angle, and to gamble all of the other positions. We are 50% gambling, and we have 50% certainty to have the highest chances of killing enemies on at least one of these positions. Which angle you choose to cover depends completely on your personal experience and that specific situation, but we should never gamble our crosshair placement for 100%. But also you should never end up in this type of a position in post-plant anyways, and you should fix your post-plant positioning and not position like an imbecile that is overexposed to multiple different angles in the same time. In Valorant, you should always strive towards better positioning of your character, like you should never be overexposed from, I don't know, like 3 different angles at that moment of time. Now, this is the scenario from one of my silver students in the coaching sessions. They tried to push the window, but the push has been stopped by enemy Jet in teleporter. Enemy Reyna killed our teammate in window, and Killjoy's turret revealed that there is one more enemy on B's site. Enemy Jet is stuck in the teleporter, and our silver student is trying to kill the Jet with his Reyna, while enemies are probably trying to help her out. In the previous 7 rounds of this particular match, enemies were never aggressive on defender's side. They were always scared to push from behind, and that information gives us a lot of advantage right now. Instead of our student watching behind where there are below 10% of chances that enemies will flank, he should be watching the window to support his Reyna, and if Jet opens the doors, he will have much easier time fighting her together and securing a kill. Instead of that, we can notice that his reflexes and flicks are not really good, let's be honest, while he's also switching his crosshair placement between bottom mid and window, bottom mid and window, gambling 100%. If enemy from window picked a good timing to peek, both him and Reyna would have died like a potatoes. Instead of that, what he should have done is focus his crosshair on the most important area of the map at that moment of time, made sure that he has the perfect crosshair placement, and support his ally on a position that is the most dangerous while their Killjoy is trying to watch for the flank. With better game sense, better game decisions, and other gameplay aspects, you can make your job of killing enemies, winning the rounds and matches 10 times easier, even if your raw aim completely sucks. Aim is just 20% of Valorant. Other 80% is what I'm mainly trying to teach the players in my coaching sessions and videos. Only 0.001% of players can be TenZ, Scream or Simple, but anyone can be Charlatan. This rule of crosshair placement, positioning and game decisions also applies if you're holding some kind of an angle like this on a defender's side. You should never consistently switch your crosshair between window and garden area without any real information, and God forbid placing your crosshair in the middle of these two positions. But based on your teammates' positioning and information that you have, position your crosshair on an angle from where you or your teammates can die at that moment of time. Or if you see some kind of abilities being used, for an example, enemy Omen does a flash in window, that probably means the enemies are gonna push window immediately. So our crosshair should be repositioned on that most dangerous angle at that moment of time. Same rule we can implement when we are pushing B side from garden. You should never keep your crosshair in the middle of the map just for the sake of seeing all the angles from which enemies can come. You should clear all of the angles one by one, or keep your crosshair centered on the angle which you're either clearing at that moment of time or where you think that there is the highest chance of enemies peeking or camping based on the information that you have to work with. I hope this video will help you a bit when it comes to getting more kills in Valorant, having better game decisions, understanding the game a bit better, and finally realizing that aimbot guides, godlike aim tutorials, Prem's Miyaguchi aim methods are not the only thing that you should watch on YouTube to improve. That is only 20% of your gameplay. So the next time you ask me, Charlatan, why am I stuck in silver, bronze, immortal, diamond, I don't know, like, I'm gonna tell you that you're only focusing on your aim. You need to fix other aspects of your gameplay. Well, look who made it through this big brain video and cringe fest when it comes to the memes. I'm definitely proud of you, my dear friends, but I would really be even more happy if you hit that subscribe button, turn your notifications on, leave a like and comment, follow me on twitch.tv/charlatan, and other social media links are down in the description below. Make sure to visit my official website or Discord server for private Valorant coaching. I'm yours, one and only, Borden of the Tricksters community. Thank you for watching and cut, baby!